made it another week. Thank
Yes.
God. Thank God.
Yes.
Just want to quickly spotlight these dope sweatshirts we have today. Our spotlight company of the day is Urbane.
Yes, by Charles J.
Charles J. Shout out to you and thank you for these dope t-shirts. You want to add some information regarding them in the description, right?
Yes, look in the description. Go on Avenue Black.
Find them. They dope, y'all.
Before they run out.
It's warm. But hey, sisters, we made it another week. Thank God. What we're talking about or wanting to talk about today is kind of heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy, but it's necessary. It's so necessary. And just in our talks that we were having back and forth, it's just one of the many things that we had where we had aha moments of just self-discovery of the fact that we were dealing with and battling some of the same things.
Yes.
And that was anxiety,
Yes.
which, I didn't even have a name for it until I was an adult. But just those feelings of just fear, nervousness, the worst case scenario, like those things. Now for me, I'm sure I had it as a child, but just not recognizing what it was, but didn't really understand what it was until I was an adult. So we didn't talk about like when did you realize what it was? Do you remember?
I never had I didn't have a word for it until I started going to school, because I did the whole psychology classes, and that's when it came up for me.
That's right.
But I'm trying to pinpoint.
Yeah, because I can't pinpoint, honestly. I can't pinpoint an exact time or aha to say, oh, that's what it was. I think it was more of just hearing other people talk about it. Talk about having anxiety and having depression. I always recognize depression because I dealt with that too. So I always recognize what that was, but not really understanding the whole anxiety piece of it and the fear of it. Pinpoint for me for a portion of it, which is social anxiety. And we didn't really talk a whole lot about this, but I was talking to a coworker and she was talking about her brother and the fact that he had social anxiety. And she was explaining to me all the symptoms, the things that he had to deal with and going through his day-to-day life. And I'm listening and I'm like, ooh, that sounds like me. But it was another one of those things that you can't talk about that. You can't tell people how you feel. But it was literally knowing I had an event coming up. I had a small circle of people that I felt safe with. Anything outside of that safe circle gave me the worst fear. And going in, I wasn't going to be good enough for the situation. People were going to be looking at me in a way to judge me, which made no sense because what are they judging? They don't know anything about me.
Yeah.
Fear of saying the wrong thing to them. And then just nervousness. Are they going to see I'm nervous? What's happening here? And then after the encounters, playing back all the things I did wrong.
Yep, I do that too.
So you guys do the same thing.
Yes.
Just something else you don't know.
I think with me, it's more of the performance anxiety.
Okay.
When you were asking me, when did it start?
And I saw tears in your eyes.
Yeah, because it started, y'all, this is not planned. It started in school. And now I understand I'm crying because I understand I understand what one of my kids is going through. Because for me, it was watching everybody else ahead and feeling like that was a place where I was supposed to be. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and we had them. They was cute at the time, but if you tried to put them in somebody's house now, they ugly. But mom had these peach chairs, the leather chairs. Yes, and me and my cousins used to roll around in them chairs, and I can't tell you how many bruises, sprained ankles, fractured ankles I've had off of them chairs.
Being bad. That's what it was.
And it used to get it used to get crumbs all stuck in there. Mom used to get mad, and she used to be like, we used to have one of them had a hole in it, and me and my cousin, I'm not gonna say which one because I'm not gonna write y'all out, ride or die.
Hell no.
Used to put our vegetables inside the hole, and then on the way to school, I used to get them out and throw them in the trash because by that point they weren't looking. But that's where my anxiety, I could say, started. Was not understanding. I had a hard time with spelling. I had a hard time with reading. Shout out to Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah. That's just still a thing.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah. But they had the colored books, and they went in order. It was level 1, level 2, level 3. And I remember I've gotten to a point of just relentlessness where I was just like, I'm going to get this no matter what. And sitting there on those we had the hardwood floors and sitting there and doing book after book after book until I got it. But that's where, if I'm honest, that's where my anxiety still comes from, because no matter how much education I went for in certain rooms, I still feel like I'm not educated enough. I still feel like I'm not able to touch on this subject because I'm not a specialist. And that's why it was giving me so much anxiety today, because I'm like, oh God, you want me to speak on something, but I'm not a therapist. I might not be able to fix another person, and we all want to be fixers. We want to be the outlet for somebody else. But Sarah Jake said something so amazing. I've been listening to her book on audio because that's the cheat way for me. It's Audible. Audible. I love Audible.
It works.
But Audible, she was talking about when you try to be that person for somebody else, then you take the place of God. And the light bulb went off, because I've always tried to, perform. I've always tried to, for my kids, I try to be that person. For my husband, I try to be that person. For my friends, I try to be that person. And it's like, oh, you can call on me no matter what. But in that, if God tell you not to answer the phone and you answer the phone because you're trying to perform, it's like you're stepping on my shoes now. This is my territory. You're not allowed to have this. Yeah,
but that speaks to our last episode. So go back and watch it if you haven't.
Go back.
The overcompensating and overpouring. And it's almost like a reverse defense mechanism, because we're trying to cover up those areas where we're weak. So if I overpour into you and I give, then I don't have to deal with my inadequacies.
Yes.
So that's what I think about that. But just to go back to something you said, and I have the same issue as far as, things that I know God has inspired me to do. But because I feel like, okay, I don't have the necessary degree to qualify for that, and I haven't been in training for 10 years like some people have been to qualify for that, but we're qualified because God qualifies us, and nothing else matters. And what you were saying about one of your kids and, like dealing with, when the tears came, I'm like, this is something deep. So we're unlocking healing, y'all, like we said we were going to do, even as we speak. But I'm grateful that you were able to have that moment to truly understand, because now it allows you to give what you needed at that time, in your child, and in helping them to navigate through this process in the way that suits them best. And I'm certain that you will do that because of the super mom hero that you are.
Ooh, I'm trying. When my daughter started acting, she was acting up in school, and I know it was because she was seeing her peers do something that she felt as though she can't do, or doesn't come easier to her. But in her strengths, she might find that they cover somebody else's weakness. But I was telling her, it's like, you're not like you. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay that this is a learning process for you. There's nothing wrong with you. All of the things that I wish somebody would have spoken over me, being that little girl. But if I'm honest, when I get in my room and I lay down at night, I still feel like it's not enough. I feel like I'm going to miss something. I feel like my words aren't sticking. And at the end of the day, I can't go to school with her. She has to be like, we and my husband support her, but it's like, okay.
She has to face it alone still, which is the hard part, because you're probably thinking of how you felt in that moment. And of course, you never want your kids to feel that type of stress or worry, and you can't take it away from her. But I just believe with that continual positive reinforcement in the moment you just had, and knowing, okay, now I get it, because I know how I felt, and this is why she may be acting that way. So what are we going to do different to try to fix this? And you will, with God's help. You know, like, again, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And yes, we are weaker, but that's when we allow him to come in and do what he needs to do. And he will. You know, like with this whole thing with anxiety, it's just like, I was listening to a podcast and I heard a gentleman say, who had struggled with anxiety all his life, and he sees a therapist, that his therapist made it clear to him that you can't conquer it without faith. You know, so I don't care who, you know, like for me is the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, you know, like Jesus is the way for me, but like whomever the higher power is and who in your life, like you can't conquer anything without faith. You have to have the faith to believe that you can overcome, because if not, we're stuck. We're stuck. We can't go any further. And just the equation of how anxiety and fear work together. They go hand in hand. And I never thought about it like that. Like I knew that fear was something that I dealt with for years, but never tied the two together, like with anxiety, because you think, oh, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. But then you have those feelings of your heart racing and just feeling like you can't get through something. So the two were they work hand in hand. Yeah. They work hand in hand.
Like that, if I could tell anyone anything, this has been like our little mantra of do it scared. Do it regardless of whether you have anxiety. Do it regardless of what you think it looks like. Do it even if you feel like you don't have the right words, do it anyway.
Yes, that's so true.
I can't even begin to explain the amount of blessings that I felt like emotionally just from the outpour of people who have reached out to us and said what this means to them. And it's just like, I boldly challenged God, because I'm like, okay, you said you put all of this in me, and if I was like, I've been doing what I want to do for the last 30 plus years. All right, this year is yours. You've walked me through the process of healing last year. So now, okay, regardless of whether I'm scared or not, let's check this stuff off of my list of what I want to do. I want to know what my purpose is, and I'm going to allow you to use me in any way you see fit. And trembling, like wanted to turn my car around today. Like, no, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm going to postpone it. Like, I don't like this topic. It's uncomfortable, but
necessary.
We are trained in society to get to a point where you're comfortable. But then on the other hand, God is like, I'm gonna take you back to a place where you're uncomfortable. So now it's just like it's an internal battle, because it's like, okay, I'll work to be comfortable, and now you want to take me out of my comfort. People have a sense of anxiety looks one way and it doesn't, and that was what I struggled with.
Give me a little more on that.
So I felt as though with my anxiety, and I did. I went to therapy. I don't know if he's still doing it, so I'm not going to shout him out.
Know the name, right?
Yeah, but
we can check afterwards.
Yes. So he might get me and be like, "I'm not doing this no more." But with looking back, I always believed that, if I got to a certain place, it would remove this. If I got to a certain amount of friends, like it would soothe my anxiety. I wouldn't be scared no more. If I had, if I graduated high school, if I graduated college, then it would take away my performance anxiety. it would make me feel more adequate to explain what I need to explain or communicate properly. If I had the house, if I had the car, it would heal my depression. And then if I'm being honest, I'm getting to a point of where I can honestly say, through God, I would have never thought I would have been in this place and be here.
Same.
And just like, and just looking at it like, that girl who prayed for everything that she wanted and gave her list to God, and seeing and watching him do it now. And it's like, oh my goodness, coming from a place where I was scared to say I wanted kids because I didn't know whether I could have them. And then coming to a place where I have 3, it's like, sometimes I look at them and I know they be looking at me like how I looked at mom, like, you crazy. Yeah. And because I'm just looking at them and I hug them and I kiss them, and my son, he be like, that's all right now. You done kissed me too many times. That's enough. Yeah. But just being overwhelmingly thankful for having a supportive husband, having a healthy relationship, not a perfect one,
right?
Healthy one. There's a difference, and learning the difference.
Yeah,
learning the difference. Like I'm no longer striving for perfection. I'm striving to be healthy.
Yeah, and that actually brings me back to something that we talked about, and I'm in your business a little bit, where there was an interaction between you and someone else, and they were admiring your family, your perfect family. And you were open, you were honest, you were transparent to say, girl, like, there is no perfect family. And you shared some things with this person that helped them to unlock what they needed to begin on their healing journey. I've heard the saying over and over, and it's stuck with me over the past few years. And that is that you can't heal what you won't reveal. And like, we have to get to a point where we're willing to be open and honest and transparent as we're led to, because everybody don't need to know your business. Or, like, there's levels to it. Like, okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of surface things, unless God leads you to really be like open with it all.
You can't tell somebody you killed somebody and hit them in the trunk.
Oh gosh, no, not killing.
You can't tell nobody that.
No, please.
Don't block me. Don't block me.
Yeah, do it on your own. And what I found for me, that another thing that has really been therapeutic and really helpful, and I know it's something you've done on your life, but I never did it, in dealing with anxiety and other issues, is journaling. It's just like, just being able to get those thoughts out on paper, and then to go back and to see the growth of where I came from. Why you ain't telling me to do that a long time ago?
I've been doing it because I've been doing that since I could write.
Wow.
Like, I've literally, but that was, I remember where that came from. So that came from me being grounded.
Oh.
Journaling came from me being grounded. It wasn't a real healing process. It was, I'm going to get on your nerves because I'm going to have fun regardless. What you going to do, take a book from me? You can't. But that's honestly where it came from. Just sitting in my room, like, you can't do nothing. You can't turn on the TV. You can't listen to music. You just go sit here. Okay, well, bet. I'm going to grab a pen and I'm going to rip off a piece of paper from somewhere and I'm going to start writing. And we didn't have the freedom that some of these kids have now, where they can express their feelings to their parents safely.
Yeah, and not get hurt.
So that was my way of being like, I can vent in this notebook. And someone was like, she getting on my nerves. I can't believe she put me. But that was my way of getting it out, because how dare I say it?
Yeah, you're gonna be
I wouldn't be here today.
That's right.
But that was my way of getting it out. So that's where my journaling started. I did one of my therapy sessions when I was in college, my first year of college. I had this professor that really stuck out. And he would get on my nerves. He always asked me why you feel like this, and what happened, what triggered you to feel like this. I don't know. Like, can I just vent? Can I just talk to you? He was like, no, not without getting to the source. We're here to get to the source, because if you want to vent, this is not what I'm here for. Right. And sometimes I didn't have the answer right away. And then other times it came quick, like, oh, light bulb moment. This is why I feel like this, or this is why it triggered me. And a lot of times it didn't have nothing to do with me. It was something that somebody transferred over to me. A lot of my anxieties came from outside sources of worried about what people thought. And it still comes. If I have read a bad review about something that I feel passionate about, I would have to turn my phone off and process that. But thank God that I know how to process that now, because I could process it a whole nother way. But now I can process it healthy.
Right, we're not fighting back.
Yes, no. Yeah, because I got Twitter. How they be like Twitter thumbs? I'm like,
because you can't take that stuff back. But it's just, I think even with that, because the negativity will come. Like, I believe that our audience is the audience that God ordained for us to have. But there's always going to be the people that it's just not a good fit, or just the trolls that have something negative to say just because. And I'm just not talking about positive feedback. Because some positive feedback can not be good, and that's okay.
Yes.
But it's just the mean, the hurtful, like that kind of stuff. But,
no love in this being said.
Exactly. But just understanding that we're walking in God's purpose and doing what He asks that we do. For me, like, I'm good. I don't think that'll be an issue for me, but I'll guide you through as we go, because I know we're different in that area. But kudos to you for seeking therapy. Like, it's something that I've thought about recently, and I do think at some point that I will. Not necessarily for the anxiety piece, because I think with God's help, not I, but God, have come to a place of being able to manage it. Because like you said, those triggers still come up. Like, things come up that are going to trigger you, but having the tools to know how to deal with it is the game changer. Like, I know for me, triggers can be something as simple as, I had too much coffee today. So now everything is making me like I can't handle that. So just learn.
Yeah, mine is 5-hour energy drinks.
You know better.
I've only done that once. I was working in retail. It was Black Friday. My viewers out there, y'all know what that's like. Black Friday in retail, not a good look. Drunk 2 5-hour energy drinks, did not read the label. And when I tell you, I thought everybody was out to get me. The warning label, I read the warning label after the store closed and was just like, I probably should have went to the hospital.
Yeah, you should have.
You're not supposed to drink you're not supposed to drink 1.5 of those within 8 hours of each other. And I drank 2 back to back because I was like, I'm trying to get my job done.
Yeah, thank God you didn't have an episode. And I know you mentioned also before that sleep a lack of sleep, I should say, was a trigger for you. Like, if you don't get enough sleep, it triggers your anxiety. So I'm glad that we've come to the point where we're able to identify those things. And I'm sure it's just going to continue to be a work in progress where we learn and we grow in that area as well. So we on our way, just like with everything else. Yes, we are on our way together, sisters.
Yes, we are.
And learning and growing in that area. But I think social media is a big thing too, like in triggering. Like, if you think about it, 90% of what you see on social media is like,
yes. So that triggered a whole nother like monster in me. Being a mom, they had the people in there, and it's like, the hashtag snapback. I snapped back. I spit out my baby, and I'm back to a 6-pack by 2 weeks. No. So
now you're like,
now I'm looking. Now I'm in a hospital. I remember my first one. Yeah, and I tell people this, and they think I'm lying. But my first one, Coco knows, I was 215 pounds. Which
big.
for
she
my
didn't even look the same, y'all.
Which for my height, and there's some people that's out there that's that size, and y'all look good.
Yeah, you're beautiful, but she's always been small.
Me at that size, quickly. I'm talking about within the course of maybe 4 months. Now, I wasn't even halfway there, and I was that size. Where my doctors was just like, I got every test done, and it was just like, internally you're healthy, but I'm looking at you, and I'm like, what are you doing? My doctor was mean about it. She was like, Miss Prescott, are you still, what did you eat today? What did you do? And then she wanted me to journal. Now, the one thing I will not journal, I will never journal what I eat.
Because then the truth
you're not about to, no, I don't want that light. You can have that one.
But thankfully you learned over the years.
I had to stay off of social media during that time.
That, you can't be moved by what you see, because that's like a huge trigger for anxiety. Yeah. And I know you mentioned therapy, and like for any of you that are considering therapy, do it. I've learned that everything can be prayed away. I'm going to say again that prayer is always my first go-to. Mm-hmm. It's all about Jesus for me, but some things do require outside intervention. I was watching a show, fictional show, but something that I saw rang so true that I want to share it. It was a young adult lady. She had a husband. She had, kids, but had been dealing with some issues that were giving her really bad anxiety, fear, and depression. Mm-hmm. She was a avid church member. Her father, she's Christian. Her father was the pastor of the church. Mm. So she's on this scene, she's in the church and she's playing the piano and she's just crying and I can't remember the song, but it was something like, Jesus, I need you, I need you, I need you. So a father comes in, it's just her, empty sanctuary. Father comes in and he's like, baby girl, what's wrong? So she's holding, she said, Daddy, I need help. And he was like, okay, I'm going to give you the help that you need. And he tells her to lift her hands. And he proceeds to pray for her. That the prayer was a good prayer, like that God would heal her. He would take it all away. And when he got done, he said, do you feel better now? And she said, yeah. Because she didn't want to hurt his feelings. I feel better. And he was like, when this comes up again, like you just pray it away, you'll be fine. And she was like, okay, Daddy, I feel better. But when he walked away, the brokenness, and just the tears, because she was broken. Mm. But in our culture, that's been the norm of we just pray it away. Mm. We don't talk about it. We pray it away. You're fine. You don't need to go to the doctor. You're okay. But in reality, when our blood pressure is high, we go to the doctor, right? Some of us, because I don't want to die. Woo. But, we will take our medication and we pray simultaneously.
I have more faith in the medication than we do the actual therapy.
Yeah. And that's can be a good and bad thing. But just the whole thing of she was still broken, but she didn't feel comfortable enough with her father to say, no, I don't feel better. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be willing to have those open and honest conversations to say, I need something more, and it's okay. Yes. As you continue to pray, right? Yes. That's something. They say
faith without works, and it's just dead. If I don't, yes, I have the faith to know that God told me I'm healed, but I have to walk and get the resources that I'm going to be, and I'm even with the first time I went to therapy, it was God-given to the point where it literally, I'm not going to say this is going to happen for everybody, but I was blessed. It fell in my lap. Oh, no. I would have not ever seeked therapy for me. The first time, I can say this, it was in middle school. My guidance counselor actually seen something in me and asked me if he could talk to me. And it was him and the co-worker or guidance counselor, the other guidance counselor, the woman. But I don't know if he's still there, but his name is Mr. Bunton. I remember him. And I remember the conversations that we had just about the same thing, growing up in church. And it's just okay, I'm praying about this, but what do I do now? And he was like, now you have to have the tough conversations behind why you feel like that. It's okay to be okay, well, for instance, it's okay to be okay, God, I need help forgiving them. But now you got to go confront that person and talk to them about
That's the hard part.
The uncomfortableness. And it's just I want to stay comfortable. I don't want to do anything that's going to make me feel oh my goodness, or have that self-doubt. It's no, you're going to have those tough conversations. It's not always going to be easy. And being able to have somebody that taught me that at a young age.
That was a blessing.
To a fault. if somebody do something to me now, it's like
you never know what she's going to say.
But that's where it came from.
Yeah, well,
like,
I get it. I get it.
It's light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, it does more harm. It will trigger your anxiety more the longer you hold it.
That's true.
It will torment you. Then you talk about, okay, my trigger is if I lose sleep, it triggers my depression and my anxiety more. But now I'm internalizing it. I'm not talking about it. So now I can't sleep. Yeah. Now I'm not getting the nourishment that I need because I'm forgetting meals. And now it's causing me more torment because I want to hold it in. Yeah. So which one's better?
Right. Yeah. It's always better to get it out. Yeah. It's always better to get it out and not hold things in because it hurts you. It just hurts you internally. Where it shows up physically, it shows up mentally, and in a whole bunch of other ways. So, yeah, that was a good thing. Yeah. That was a good thing. And that's something I didn't know. Like, we unlocking all kinds of stuff. And we are learning as we go along. Yeah. We go along. So that's good. But I think that's a good place to kind of like start, at least to wrap up with it. But just so you all know that if you are dealing with anxiety, you are dealing with depression, you are not alone. This podcast subject was more about awareness and letting you all know that you're not alone and you can't heal what you won't reveal. So we need God to bring those people in our lives that we can be open and honest and transparent with and expressing where we are so that we have that communication and that community of people that can help and guide. And just like Tiffany was just offering, you know, like just different scenarios of you going to therapy and things like that. So if it's something that you're considering, do it. If it's something that you think you can kind of conquer on your own, okay, but at least be self-aware and find tools, online searches alone.
There's some amazing apps. Now you have more opportunity. You have more things at your fingertips than you did when I did. Like there was no. When I was growing up, cell phones had just came out. Like the only thing that was on there was the snake game. Like you couldn't do anything. So now it's just like you have so much at your fingertips, and this self-doubt comes in like, this is not going to work. It might work for somebody else, or it's just a great marketing tool. But no, you might have to go through 2 or 3, 4 therapists to find out your right niche. It's not going to be like, okay, one and done, I'm good, I'm settled in. Anything that's worth having is going to take some work. Right. And you are worth having.
Yes.
And if I don't say nothing else, you are worth having. Yes, that is and so understanding that no matter what you are going through, no matter what you think it should look like, if we were all honest, everybody's dealing with some triggers. Everybody's dealing with their own struggles, and you are not alone in this.
Right? Nope. You got your sisters now.
Yes. Like sister circle.
Yeah, we're in it together. Circle. And can we just have a pause, commercial break, to say to my sisters that my sister got through this podcast without saying one curse word.
Yes.
He is working in her. He is working through her. He promised that he was going to use it all.
I haven't said one all morning, which is pretty good. Yes.
He promised he was going to use it all, and I see him doing exactly what he said he was going to do. So that's it for today. Have a great rest of your evening, as we always say.
Yes.
And we will see you soon.
See you.